Third Phase Moon, Blake Cousins broadcasting live right now, taking calls from around the world. You got a story you want to share? Let's hear it. I want to hear a good UFO story. What did you see? Are you a UFO whistleblower? Did you work for a secret government program in regards to the extraterrestrial phenomenon? You got to call it. We got to get some whistleblowers on the show. Let's start opening up the lines. The number to call in is 347-934-0378. Got to press number 1 once you do that. If you want to talk to Third Phase of Moon live, press number 1, and we'll get you on the show. That's what it takes. You got to call into the number and then call in, and then go ahead and press number 1, and you'll be able to get through. So I see that area code 505 called in first. The lines are building up, so we're going to get to as many people as we can tonight. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
Okay, great. Where are you calling in from? You got a story you want to share? Let's hear it.
Yes, I do. I'm calling from Nashville, Tennessee. I've had actually a couple experiences, and this is when I lived in Maryland on the Delmarva Peninsula. The first experience was about 25 years ago, and I was laying in bed. My daughter was a toddler at the time. She came in. She couldn't sleep. She crawled in bed with me, and I have sliding glass doors in my bedroom in that house. And all of a sudden, I felt like the hair on my body just raise up, like that sense of danger that you feel, that fight or flight syndrome. And I grabbed onto my daughter. I didn't know what was going on. I was sound asleep. She woke up. I woke up. And looking out the sliding glass doors, which was right to the side of my bed, I could see this triangular kind of ship type thing. It was shaped like kind of like a triangle, and it had green, yellow, and blue lights on it that were flashing. Now, what's really odd about this is the way this thing moved. It would hover, it would come close, and it would zip back, zip up, zigzag over. It defied physics the way it moved. It does not move the way a typical flying, airplane or helicopter would move. And the creepy part about it is that you could sense danger from it. And I held on to my daughter with every might of my being, and I prayed. I'm a Christian. I prayed and prayed for this thing to go away. That happened twice within a week. And then about a few years ago, that was 25 years ago, a few years ago, my daughter and her boyfriend, of course, all grown up. This was just maybe, 4 or 5 years ago. We were outside one night. It was about, I'm going to say 10 o'clock at night. And we saw this thing in the sky. And the best way I can describe it is, when you're a kid and you blow bubbles with the bubble stuff and two bubbles stick together and they're kind of wobbly looking and they're sticking together. Well, picture something like that up in the sky with a nucleus in each bubble. And the nucleus is like dancing around in these bubbles, and it was different colors. And my daughter's a professional photographer now. She was trying to get pictures of it. They would not come out. I was trying to get pictures of it on my phone, and I did get some pictures, but it looked so far away that it didn't really turn out that good. But what's weird about this thing is that it was rather large. It was up in the sky. It was at night, and it wasn't moving. It was just hovering, and it wasn't making any sound, but it was just there. It wasn't moving right, left, up, or down. It was just stationary. But it had a nucleus, and it was like a transparent kind of outer double bubble thing with a double nucleus. It was very bizarre, and we're like all standing there, looking at this thing like, what the heck is that? It was frightening a little bit. I mean, there's been some pretty weird things that you see on Delmarva, and of course, they've got Wallops Island not too far from there, NASA. So who knows what's going on? But I just thought I'd share it with you.
Well, you know what? It does sound interesting because I've never heard of a kind of a UFO sighting. I've heard of the triangle one, obviously, but this kind of almost sounds like you're looking at something that resembles some kind of like molecule or an atom.
Exactly. I mean, that's how you could describe it. I mean, and it was like something inside was alive and moving inside of it. It was, and it was so weird. It was like a transparent with, you know how you see like that rainbow type of film over something transparent when it's wet, you know, like a bubble, like these soapy bubbles that the kids blow, you know, that they get from the drugstore. You know what I mean? And that's what it looked like, but it had this like multicolored, textured looking nucleus, and I had seen it not once but a few times. I mean, on Delmarva you see some really weird stuff up there, but I didn't feel fear like I did with that triangular thing that was zipping up. I mean, it got pretty close to the sliding glass doors, and I just, you know, rebuked it and prayed it away. You know, I was hanging on to my daughter. The only thing I could think about was that, you know, is this thing going to like, you know, suck us up and, you know, abduct us or something? That's the kind of fear I felt with that thing. And that was 25 years ago. But this bubble nucleus thing, it was just bizarre. And it was pretty big because it was definitely out there, far away, but it was pretty big for how far away it seemed. But it didn't move. I mean, it was just there and it didn't move. And then, you know, after a while, you know, we all went inside, and the next day it was gone. We didn't see it again. But the skies are very clear over there on the Delmarva Peninsula. You've got the Chesapeake Bay on one side and the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. So there's salt air too. But it was just very bizarre.
Gotta have those ready and get something on that video, because I got a feeling you're going to be seeing some more of these things. The way you describe the area that you live in, and it might be pretty frequent in the area in regards to UFOs and sightings, and maybe other people in the vicinity are experiencing the same thing.
Yes, actually, other people have experienced things. I don't live on Delmarva anymore. I'm in Tennessee. But it's very, but even here, you know, just about 2 weeks ago when they had the blue moon thing that they were talking about, I saw something that was just kind of bizarre. The moon was extremely bright. It wasn't blue. It was a full moon. It was extremely bright, but the sky around it was pitch black. It wasn't illuminating on the earth like a full moon normally would. Does that make sense? You know how when there's a full moon, it almost kind of looks like mild daylight out. You know, you can see the trees and the grass and everything. This particular full moon a few weeks ago, a couple weeks or whatever it was ago, did not illuminate the sky around it, the ground below, buildings, trees, nothing. It was pitch black with this big white, and I mean big, white moon. And I tell you, you know, when they talk about planet Nibiru and all that stuff, I've seen that thing too. It looks like a second sun. I couldn't believe it. As a matter of fact,
that's a whole different conversation for sure. Planet Nibiru.
I went off on a tangent there.
So much to go over. Appreciate the call in, and we're going to be taking a bunch of calls tonight. There's a lot of people that want to share their stories, so that's great. Everybody stand by for probably just about a minute. We're going to refresh the keyboard here because I can't believe on how many callers are calling in right now. Everybody stand by. Third Phase of Moon, Blake Cousins. All right, we're back. We're back, Third Phase Moon, live, taking your calls from around the world. Let's bring them in. There's people that want to share their stories. Quite exciting. Friday night, Third Phase Moon Radio is back on. Area code 603. You're with us now. How you doing tonight?
Hello?
Yeah, you there? 603. You're live. How you doing? Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling in from New Hampshire.
All right. You got something you want to share tonight? Seen something strange in the skies?
Oh, yeah, lots of times. Well, originally I wanted to talk to you because I had 2 x-rays that were taken 10 years apart, and I realized there's something on that. And I wanted to talk to that doctor, but apparently he's not alive anymore.
Yeah, Dr. Roger Lear, we miss him sadly. Yep. The man who removed 17 of these basically alien implants. You think you got one of them in you?
Yeah, and sadly he's gone. And doesn't seem like anybody else is stepping up and doing anything about it.
Absolutely, it's very sad. Have you had an abduction experience?
Yeah, actually, quite a few. The first one I remember, I was about 3 years old, and I remember waking up. My brother and sister were in the living room. They were looking out the windows. They were like screaming and all excited, like, oh, look at this, There was lights coming in the window, and I could see, shining on their faces as I came down the hallway. And then my sister was like, oh, let's go see the aliens. And she ran out the door, and my brother ran out behind her, and I ran out behind both of them. And we lived in a trailer park here in New Hampshire, and up the road there was a dump, and apparently it went up and it landed in the dump. And so we all ran up there and ran in. There was like a little bit of forest that we had to go through. And then when we got into the dump, I remember looking to my left, and there was this ship sitting there, and 3 little people outside of it. And it sounds strange, but it looked like they were picking up some of the garbage and looking at it. So then the next thing we knew, we were on the ship. I was being led down one corridor, and my brother and sister were being led in 2 different directions down different corridors. And then I remember being in this room with the alien and on a table. And at one point, she did something really strange. She got right up in my face. And then afterwards, she told me that I'd be seeing them again. She said she liked me. We'd be seeing each other again. And apparently, that was true. I don't know. It's been quite a few stories all my life. Sorry, I've been sick lately.
Absolutely. What about these X-rays? That's amazing. These X-rays. So there was some routine X-rays. You were going into the hospital for some kind of procedure or something, and something came up that seems unfamiliar, that shouldn't be there. Describe to me how that process happened.
Well, I'm having a problem with my right hip. And so 10 years ago, when it started, I had an X-ray taken. And I saw something on it, but, you just kind of blow it off like, what is that? It's really strange looking. It's round. It looks like a little washer or, a donut shape. It actually has a hole in the middle. And I didn't think anything of it. I just put the X-ray away. And then recently, I went last year because it's been getting worse. And I had another X-ray taken, and you can see it's still there, only now it's kind of like grown over on the top, and you can still see the round part on the bottom and kind of the hole a little bit. And, I can't figure out what it could be.
Did you ask the orthopedic surgeon or whoever's going to be doing the procedure, the doctor, what did you say? Hey, what's this ring thing? Can you explain this to me?
Yeah, I did ask what it was, and they just kind of blew it off like they looked at the X-ray real quick. They're like, "Oh yeah, well, I don't know," and they didn't even seem to want to acknowledge it. It's like you can clearly see it. I mean, I could send you pictures of the X-rays if you want.
Absolutely. I'd love to see those. Along with your contact information, that'd be great. We might want to follow up on this. There are certain people that say that they will go through this process as long as there is no implant embedded within the face or close to the brain. Below the neck, by the hip, it seems like there might be some help out there. And don't quote me on it. There's some contacts that might be very interested in take over the Roger Lear, take the torch and lead on into this world of alien implants, which I believe that exists. They really still can't be explained to this day. Nanotechnology, there's technology in some of these things. They transmit radio signals, very, very bizarre, especially not just because of the implant itself, the discovery, but what's the backstory behind it is that there is, in a lot of cases, pretty much 90%, if not more, involves some kind of extraterrestrial experience or an abduction experience. So that's amazing to me. So definitely keep in touch. Send me those photographs. I want to see them, and maybe I could pass them on to people that are professionals and doctors and people that could actually analyze this if it was extracted.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. I would love to have it out. Let's see what it is.
Find out what it is. What's it made of? That's the main thing. Is it extraterrestrial in origin? That's a lot of these things are. So, but some people say that they feel like there's a connection between it as well, and there's some kind of sadness once it's removed in a weird way. I don't know. That's what I've heard. So, appreciate the call in. Keep in touch. Send me that.
Okay, thank you.
Send me the evidence. I'd love to see it.
Okay, I will.
All right. What an incredible call that is, because this abduction alien experience, it's real, people. It's happening, and it's happening not just in a very rare case, but it happens all the time. All right, everybody stand by. We've got time for maybe a couple more callers. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Third Phase Moon, Late Cousin. Like Cousins taking your calls. Let's go to the next caller, area code 412. Hey, thanks for waiting. We want to get to people's experience. Appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. Where are you calling in from, area code 412?
Hello?
You there?
Yeah.
Yeah, how you doing? Yeah, we got you. All right, you got to speak up. Otherwise, we can't get to the callers. Unfortunately, moving along. Area code 850. 850, you made it to Third Phase Moon Live. How you doing tonight?
What's going on, Blake?
Oh, just enjoying the calls, the experiences people are having. It takes a lot of guts for people to come forward and share what we've been hearing tonight.
Yeah, it does, man. I seen my first sighting like 3 weeks ago. I was outside smoking a cigarette, and I just happened to be looking up, and I saw like 3 lights. One was like a crazy blue color, and then the other 2 were almost like a clear white, and it was.
What do you think they were?
Real low.
Drones? Did you think they could have been drones?
It was too big. It was. Well, there is some kids in the neighborhood that had some little drones, but when they got it back around the tree line, then I could really see it, and my son seen it, and it was a triangle. And my son was so freaked out he started crying. But I'm telling you,
How
really
old is
about
your son? Oh, is he emotional
he's
type
11.
of kid, or he's kind of freaked
No, not
out?
really. No, he ain't emotional. Not really. It just freaked him out because it was so bizarre to see it so close. Because I never really believed in anything like that until I seen it, and it was like crazy looking. But that was really, I think that was the first. I think that was the second night. Or the first night.
Sure. What did you tell your son? What did you tell your son after that? How'd you comfort him in a way that, hey, look? How'd you explain it to him? Like, these are extraterrestrials, government. I'm curious.
I really couldn't explain it. I was like, I told him I didn't know what it was because he noticed that it was a triangle at first, and as soon as he said it's a triangle, then I said it. Like, we almost said it at the same time. But I believe that was the second night. But the first night. There was two, and then there was one sitting still, and then like 30 minutes later, like an airplane came and was flying to the one that was sitting still, and then flying to the ones that was moving, and I could hear that plane, but I couldn't hear the other objects. I could not hear them at all, and I thought maybe at first it could have been an airplane, some planes, because I do live close to the airport. But I could not hear these things, and I could blankly see they was triangles. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that, dude. I'll never forget it. It freaked me out. Yeah,
and it sounds like your son was freaked out too, especially when they're coming from the dad. It's like I'm looking to my father get some kind of comfort here, and he's like, I don't know what the thing is.
I said, I don't know. Hey, listen, he didn't even. It really wasn't that. He didn't freak out until it made the pass, and then when it came around like the front, you could blink. I mean, you could see it. It was. I was trying to take a picture or a video, but it was too dark. All I could see was my phone was too dark. All I could see was like a vague light in my phone. So when it came back around, that's when you could see the triangle. It was so crazy. But that's really it.
Wow,
man.
wow,
I was like, I don't know what it was, bro, but that did not look right, and it was like about the size of like a truck or a car.
Absolutely, it's interesting because they're getting bolder and bolder. These triangle-shaped anomalies being spotted. You just heard earlier in the broadcast tonight. Other people have seen this thing, and it's not just it's happening. What is this? What is going on? What's the purpose? Why are they like really close in proximity to people as well? Are they checking us out?
I don't know. What was so bizarre about it too? Like I tried to make every explanation for like what it was because, like I say, I do live close to an airport, so I was thinking my neighbor would drop my nephew off, and I tried to get him to look at it. But he just glanced at it and was like, "Oh, that's an airplane." Like he just assumed it was an airplane. And my nephew too. Also, he's seen it too, and he was like freaking out too. He's like, "What is that?" He's like, "What is that? That's a triangle." I was like, "Dude, I know, I see it. It's crazy." But the first night, it was for 2 nights in a row, and then it wasn't nothing. And I come out every night like I've got obsessed with coming out here to look to see if I see it now. But I've never seen it again. The first night I think there was like 3, and then the second night. Is when we seen the single one that was just like going real slow, like so slow, just like creeping around. It was weird, man. But I don't want to take up too much of your time, brother. I know you got people calling in, man. But I appreciate your show, brother. I love it. Thanks.
Hey,
man.
appreciate you too sharing your story because that's what we're doing right here at Third Phase Moon. We're just sharing people's stories, and there's very limited place in anywhere around the world people could really call in and do this. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, man.
Check Phase
All right, brother.
You take
Love
care.
Be Thanks, man. You too.
Thank you. Okay, moving on. Let's see. Let's bring in area code 509. Wow, you're live, Third Phase of Moon.
It's Blake. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, how's it going? You're back?
Yeah. How you been, man? This is Kyle.
You're good, but you're coming in real soft. I can't hear you.
Real soft.
Is that any better?
Well, that's a big difference. Yeah, great. Appreciate that.
Huge difference.
Where are you calling in?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm calling in from Dayton, Washington.
All right. So, we've got a few minutes left. What's on your mind tonight? Appreciate the call in.
Well, I just wanted to come in. I saw that you guys were on, and I wanted to come and share actually a sighting that I had, and I don't know if you ever heard it before over on my channel or not, but
let's hear it. Let's hear it. We're having the lines open for UFO sightings.
You know who this
Go
is?
right ahead.
Blake?
Yeah. Go ahead. What
Do you
was
know
that?
who this is? Do you know who this is?
No, I don't. Who am I speaking with?
It's UFO proof.
What? Yeah. See, you're coming in on this phone of mine, and I barely even recognize your voice. How you doing, Kyle?
Good, Blake. How you been, buddy?
Doing good, man. Doing good. So let's hear your story.
I heard your sorry about that. I heard your show tonight. You guys were doing some sightings and stuff, so I figured I would come and share one of my sightings with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kyle's had his close encounters, and he's posted actually kind of like a recreation of what he witnessed on his YouTube channel called UFO Proof. If you haven't heard of it, you might want to check him out. He's got his own state of how he puts out his opinions, and he's pretty hardcore in his opinions, but hey, man, that's why we love UFO Proof. Let's hear your story, man. Go ahead.
All right, so this is actually a different encounter. You know, I've had many encounters, which has got me into UFOs, but one in particular that was very interesting. This was back in 2011, and it's about 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was driving to pick up my girlfriend, and I looked up in the sky, and I saw what looked like flying crucifixes. It looked like 2 flying crosses, but these were planes that had just a light array that looked like it resembled a cross, a crucifix. And in between the 2 planes was a bright orange-red looking light. And I'm watching these things fly, and then I watch the orange light come straight down, and like kind of where I'm at, you know, just beyond the trees and stuff. So I keep driving, and I see this road that like takes me in the direction of where this light came down, and I follow it all the way to the end, and it's a cul-de-sac. And I pull over, and I get out, and I'm looking around in the sky. Behind me, or in front of me, about 100 yards away, is a patch of trees, and then an open, clear field. And behind the patch of trees, it looked like a fire was happening, like a forest fire or something. It was all glowing red, and then it started to move behind the trees, and so I could see it was like an object or something. And out from behind the trees into the open field came a burning, like a bright red disc, like a flying saucer style, and it was about 20 feet in circumference, but it was only about 2 feet thick. It didn't seem like it was something like you could put a person or somebody in. But this disc came out, and it had like this weird cloud, like this red, like burning ozone around it. And it comes out, and then right behind it, another disc, a little bit lower, closer to the ground, comes out behind it. And then after that, and so it makes like a triangle pattern. And then another disc came out below, and then another one came out on top, and then below, and it made another triangle pattern. And then there was another triangle pattern, but there seemed to be one spot that was missing a UFO for some reason, and then there was one up on top. And so this fleet of these red discs come out from behind these trees, and I had my my military laser on me, like a bright green, high-powered laser, and I shined the laser on one of these discs, and a center line started from the center and went out to the edge, and it like folded in on itself and disappeared. It looked like when Pac-Man dies, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys know what that looks like, but his like mouth kind of opens up all the way wide until he disappears. That's exactly what it looked like. And I was completely amazed by this, and I was like, oh my God, I just watched it like completely disappear. And then I decided to hit another one with the laser, but instead of disappearing, this one started to get so bright that it looked like it was going to explode. I mean, the best way to describe it would be if you ever seen an electric stove light up, like if you put it on like the highest setting it can go, like when it gets bright red. That's what these things look like, except they had like a little burning cloud around them, and they were probably maybe 25, 30 feet off the ground. I mean, these were incredibly low and incredibly close. I mean, I could make out the Go ahead.
Do you feel anything coming off of them, like a static electricity in the air? Because they do put off some, like this, almost, it appears like there's a aura going around it, like it surrounds these craft.
You know, like I know there's you'd actually discussed this in one of your episodes before, which is I really had like this strange feeling, like which they call the Oz factor, and which is like this. It seemed like the rest of the world like stopped as I was watching these UFOs. It didn't seem like anything was happening. Like it seemed like, you know, I was separated from everything. Like while I was in proximity of these discs that were flying out, and then a woman actually drove up next to me and parked and got out, and I'm staring at her and then looking back at the craft and looking back at her, and I'm like waiting for her to acknowledge them, but she just looked at me and then kind of looked down and walked inside, and which blew my mind, because I'm like, there's these flying discs are just 20, 30 feet off the ground floating in the field, and all she had to do was turn her head and look, and she would have saw them, but she didn't do that, and it seemed just really odd that, you know, she wouldn't even try to like look, because I'm like, you know, pointing, going, looking at her and looking back, looking at her and looking back, trying to get her to you know, motioning to get her to look, and she just went and she just kind of walked in with her head down, and it seemed so like odd, like the way everything felt around them. Like, I mean, it was really, really creepy. It wasn't scary. It felt like really silent. Like I just felt so disconnected from like the world around. The only things that seemed to exist were me and these crafts, man. And I watched them just float away all the way until I couldn't see them anymore. Like they didn't just shoot off or anything like that. It took them about, you know, a minute and 30 seconds before they were totally gone, so I couldn't see them. But I mean, they were just creeping too. They were probably doing 20 miles an hour or something. I mean, they were going incredibly slow, and it was such an exciting sighting that like I couldn't even drive. Like I was so like excited. Like I was like, oh, my hands were shaking. I was so happy, and like I mean, it was just an incredible sighting, man. And I just wanted to come in and share that one with you guys.
Appreciate that, Kyle. What else have you been up to on UFO Proof? How's your show going? And give us a little feedback on that. Everybody wants to hear that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, you know, channel's going good, and I'm on my way to 10,000 subscribers, which is going to rock.
I know.
And,
how close are you there?
I believe I'm at like 9,200, something around there. Oh man, my phone's dying. It's like 9,200. So I'm getting close, you know, almost there. But you know, something I did notice, I got an email from somebody saying that I was in the top 60 UFO videos, and I noticed that you were also in them. And did you get that email?
Yeah, there's some sort of like badge going around on the top 60 UFO channels, and we did see UFO Proof up there, but who is the top of that badge list?
You know who number one was?
I do believe we do know.
Third Phase of Moon.
Absolutely right.
Third Phase of Moon,
and you know
number
why?
one, man. Why is that?
I think because it has to do with over the years of doing our channel, Third Phase, it created accounts of not just necessarily the views, but retention and minutes watched, the watch time. We got the top UFO channels beat by double, so that's pretty incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh
do you
yeah.
think this is a legit? Do you think that's a legit site? This badge?
I think so.
Yeah, the top UFO channel.
I mean,
yeah,
it
makes sense to me, but
it's...
we got a couple minutes left, and it's all great news and stuff, and that's great about this badge, but we got to get the word out on extraterrestrial existence. Let me ask you quickly, Kyle, before I got to go here. One last thing. What do you think these things are? Are they interdimensional beings? Are they from another
galaxy, not from our solar system, or are they government?
Oh man, it's definitely extraterrestrial. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that these things are from somewhere else. They're definitely not from Earth. So, I mean, I'm sure there are some, government craft that we are not exposed to that are, really incredible. But I mean, it ain't got nothing on these things. Like, I mean, you can really tell the difference when you see a real alien UFO. I mean, there's just something. So, hands down, alien. That's my answer.
All right, Kyle. I appreciate the call. Come back anytime.
Hey,
yeah, go
when
ahead.
you get done, come over to my show, dude. Because I'm going to be going live. So come over there when you guys get done on yours, man.
Okay, we'll try and get over there. We could spare a few minutes to get over to UFO Proofs. While I get everybody's information and calls into Third Phase Moon YouTube, we'll be right with you, Kyle. Appreciate the invite.
All right, thanks, brother. Bye.
Okay, man. Talk to you in a bit. Okay, guys. Everybody around the world, if you've seen anything amazing out there, even if you didn't catch it on film, you know where to call in. That's Third Phase of Moon Radio, and we'll be broadcasting again next week, Friday. Stay tuned for more updates on Third Phase of Moon YouTube. Basically, the top UFO channel that exists on the internet. Wow, we'll take that. And it's the truth, people. Blake Cousins. We'll see everybody again next time.